For section A, you're going to have indigenous peoples and Europeans. This is for the paper 2. For section B, Caribbean economy and slavery, and section C, resistance and revolt. Now you're going to get 2 questions in each section, 2, 2, 2. So there are going to be 6 sections on the 6 questions on the paper, and you're going to select one from each section. You're going to do it at home. You can use your textbooks. You can use your notebooks to answer the questions, but guess what? We are looking for something on what we have been testing you over the period. Since your return in February, we have been practicing something very significant. I want to see how you answer the questions. So it's called a take-home exam. Now, look at this now, ladies. Under resistance and revolt, you're going to, the topics that you still need to study, under resistance and revolt, you're going to get forms of resistance and slave control. So you're going to, what under slave control, the different ways they control the enslaved people, including slave laws, what we call legal control. So that is going to be section, this is going to be for the paper 2. You're not going to get anything on Haitian Revolution. You're not going to get a question on Maroons. You're not going to get any question on any other slave revolts. You're only going to look at what are the different forms of resistance, female resistance, slave control, right up until they do the slave laws. Psychological resistance, cultural resistance, sorry, not resistance, control. That's what you're going to get it on. The same thing for paper 1. Paper 1 is going to be 60 questions, 30 from indigenous people, and the other 30 is going to be mixed from Caribbean economy and slavery and resistance and revolt. And the questions under paper 1 will just go up to slave laws. Sound fair, ladies?
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Sir,
go ahead for me.
Before you move on, you said 30 questions on indigenous people and 30 on the Caribbean economy and what else?
And resistance and revolt.
Okay, sir.
Good. So that is what we're going to cover. But ladies, I know that some of your subject teachers teach the syllabus. Is that right across the board?
Sir, in some subjects.
All right. But the reality is that at this level, we have to push quite a lot of topics in, because next year for 5th form or grade 11 is not usually an easy year. All right. I'm going to see if I can beg you one evening, maybe next week, Monday, if you can give me next week, Monday. So the class is from 1 to 2. I'm going to beg you from 2 to 2:30 next week, Monday. Please.
Sir, we have form time.
Repeat?
Form time.
No, man, you have to tell the teacher that you have a seminar with Mr. Hall.
Okay.
So tell the teachers from now that you have a session with Mr. All at 2 to 3, 2 to 2:30. So you're gonna miss form time. Davis, you say you're just gonna tell your teachers that you're not going to be able to make it to form time because you have a session with Mr. Hall.
Okay, sir.
Yes. All right, ladies. So today we're going to look at a new topic, which is maroons. When we hear the term maroons, what comes to mind?
Runaway enslaved.
Very good. So when we hear the term maroons, it's most of our minds is runaway. Now we would have been looking at some of these terms over the last few weeks, and we look at the term marronage, which actually means to run away. And we talk about maritime marronage, which is to when the enslaved people fled to other islands via the sea. And then you have also grand marronage, which is to run away permanently and establish settlement. And you have petit marronage, which is to run away temporary. And this is usually to run away to visit a lover, right, on another plantation. And the planters basically turned a very blind eye to this type of marronage. You run away for the night and you come back the next day. You run away for the weekend and you return the Monday morning. So these are the different types of marronage. All right. The first group of people, or the first people that we can think about that would have committed marronage or to run away was the enslaved, not the enslaved, the Taínos. So when the Spanish came and they oppressed them, the Taínos, they ran away into the mountains. And when they went up into the mountains to fled Spanish oppression, they established settlement in the mountains. Now there's a view that when the Africans came, the Africans also ran away and interbreed with the Maroons up there and continue the settlement. And so we have Maroon settlements in Taino Maroon settlements in Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Suriname, Guyana, and Puerto Rico. So these are places where we have Maroon settlements. Anybody has ever visited a Maroon settlement in Jamaica?
Yes, sir.
I
With
think
what?
one, and I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was in St. Thomas.
Yes, yes. There's one in St. Thomas for sure. St. Thomas, Maroon settlement, maybe. I'm not so sure. I'm not familiar with the one in St. Thomas. I know the one in Portland, one in St. Elizabeth. Anyone else? I will have to do some research on that one. All right, ladies, go ahead. Go ahead for me.
Sir, if we were able to, if COVID wasn't around, would we have a trip to a compound?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
every year we go to, either we go to the one in Portland or we go to the one in a compound, which is St. Elizabeth. But I prefer the one in Portland. The reason why I prefer the one in Portland, because we get to cross the river. So you walk across the river, it's not any water that is there, but your foot gonna get wet. And you have to climb up into the mountain Yes, St. Andrew girls have always done very well climbing the mountains, and the girls have done way better than KC. Yes, the Kingston boys, they reached part of the way and they turned back. They couldn't manage the mountain, but yes, Andrew's I should even say all of Andrew's girls. Because the last time we went, a few students, by the time we reached to the cliff, not the cliff, what they call that, the cave, the student said that she can't go any further because if she go further, she will have an asthma attack. So we had to go back down with her with the nurse, and Lord have mercy, it would be fun. If COVID never run, we would have fun going to, I would prefer the one in Portland. The one in Portland is a little better for me. I think it is nice. The experience is much nicer than a compound. But it's, if COVID never run, you would have gone there, and I'm telling you, students enjoy this trip to a compound. And if COVID was not around also, we would also have a trip to Cuba. Okay, you're going to study about the Cuban Revolution. All right, ladies. So I'm going to give you a small little history about Maroons in Jamaica, how Maroon settlements would have developed in Jamaica. We know for sure that one way in which Maroon settlements would have, give me a second, ladies. I want to bring up a map of Jamaica so you can have an idea of what took place. So we know for sure that for Jamaica, one of the first European group to enslave people here or settle here was the Spanish. So the Spanish had enslaved Africans, not a lot, like when the sugar came about, but they had a few enslaved Africans. So when the English captured Jamaica from the Spanish, those enslaved Africans, they ran into the mountains. And one of such person was called Juan de Bolas, right? He was the first Maroon leader in Jamaica, very first. And so while the British was here, Juan de Bolas would have fought and harassed the British, capture them and beat them up and do all different type of stuff with them. That's what he would have done with his fellow Maroons up into the mountains. And if you look at that little spot that I have on the map, the Google map, that is where the Juan de Bolas mountain is located in Jamaica. Anybody has ever heard about Juan de Bolas?
No, sir.
Anyone live close to live in St. Catherine?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Anybody know Yorkton?
Yes, sir. I've drove past there before.
Yes, Yorkton. And anybody know a place by the name of Lorda's Vale?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So Juan de Bolas, I'm coming up with the map now. I'm going to show you the mountain where they would have escaped to, the enslaved Africans, and they would have established settlement in this area. So all of this area here, so let's put it a little close like this, yeah. The mountain is pretty nice. Up there is pretty good. So Wanda Bolas is close by here. Well, this area is Wanda Bolas. Right now in Wanda Bolas Mountain, you have a school, you have a town, all of these different stuff. It's in St. Catherine right here. So the first enslaved people that the Spanish would have enslaved, once the British or the English came, the English, what they did, how they captured Jamaica was that they came to Port Royal, which is right here, and they went in, continue, and then they came here and they captured Spanish Town, which was the first, which was one of the cities that, well, the first town that the Spanish would have settled or built. And then the Africans who were living here, they fled into the mountains, this mountain, which is right here. And so while the English settled here and got rid of the Spanish, the Maroons here continue to fight against the English because they felt that the island belonged to the Spanish and the Spanish should not have any, the English should not have any control over the area. I'm coming back to that. And so what he's going to do is that he's going to continue to fight the English, but he's going to change side. He's going to, Wanda Bolas is going to assist the English to get rid of all the Spanish on the island of Jamaica. And so what the English is going to do is that the English is going to say, wow, since you help us to get rid of the Spanish in Jamaica, we are going to give you land. So you see all the areas, the Wanda Bolas Mountain, which is right here, belongs to you. That's why they name it the Wanda Bolas Mountain. And so Wanda Bolas and his people live freely in the mountains. These were blacks, Africans. So they hunted wild pigs, they grew corn, they had plantains, yams. However, there was a big rift going to take place now. His fellow Maroons did not approve his leadership. And because they did not approve his leadership, they are going to kill Wanda Bolas, who was the leader. And as a result of that, ladies, the English is going to say, listen, all of you Maroons up here fighting, so guess what we're going to do? We're going to take back the land. And so the English is going to kill quite a few of those Maroons, and they are going to enslave them. And they took back the area, Wanda Bolas, and established plantations there. You see how when we fight against each other, what can happen? We have to live together as one. Now, ladies, so that was the first set of Maroon settlements in Jamaica. That happened in the 1670s. Now, in the 1690s, the English would have fully settled Jamaica and they would have established quite a lot of sugar plantations in Jamaica. Now, there's a group of enslaved people that came directly from Africa that was called the Coromantis or the Akan people. And they escaped from their plantation in Clarendon. Yes, their plantation located around here in Clarendon. Here. And they fled. Let us give you a better map of Jamaica. So the plantation that they had was located somewhere around here. So this is where the plantation was the Akan people. These were Nani and their brothers. Yes, they were enslaved on a plantation in Clarendon. And they are going to escape from the plantation, and they are going to go over here into the Blue Mountains, way up into the mountains. And they are going to establish Maroon settlements in the mountains. All right? Now, these were some of the different Maroon settlements in Jamaica. You had Nanny Town, Crawford Town, Accompong, and Trelawney Town. So these are 4 of the settlements. They had way more. Now, almost all of these Maroon settlements were established by Nanny, who is your national hero, and her brothers. One of her brothers was Kuju, Accompong, Johnny, and Kwako. So those were some of her brothers. And they escaped the plantation from Clarendon and went over here and established different Maroon settlements right across Jamaica into the very high mountains. Now we need to ask ourselves the question, why enslaved Africans fled to the mountains? Let us hear from you. Why enslaved Africans fled to the mountains?
It was the safest place to hide from the Europeans because they were oppressed by the hard labor and the working conditions.
Yes, that is true. You're correct. And I agree with that. And so to escape the harsh treatments of slavery, which you would have mentioned. And the thing is that all of these Maroons who are escaping to the mountains, these Maroons, well, all the Africans who were escaping to the mountain and establishing Maroon settlement were actually born in Africa. So they knew freedom. And some of them were used to the hilly terrain and the mountainous terrain. And so in Jamaica, if we look at a map of Jamaica right now, which is this, most of the towns established by the British, they are established on the coast. Kingston on the coast, which is right here. Spanish Town is the only place that the people settled that was inland. Most of these areas were on the coast that they settled. Most major towns were on the coast. In the center of the island, which is very mountainous, the British basically left those parts of the island. They didn't went deep into the mountains. And so as a result of that, because the mountain was basically untouched, it gave them the opportunity to run away and establish settlement there. And so some of them fled because the mountain was inaccessible. Most of the European soldiers didn't know how to get up into the mountains, and it was very difficult for them to trace the Maroons. The same thing is that the Europeans used to have a lot of dogs from Cuba, the blood wounds dogs that they used to try to get the Maroons. And they used to get some Mosquito Indians from an island that is called Mosquito Island. And they used to get those Indians, they brought them to Jamaica to hunt for escaped enslaved people. But it was very difficult for them too. The Mosquito Indians and the dogs found it very difficult in the mountains. Same thing with the soldiers. And so because of all of these factors, it was very, very easy for them to escape to the mountains and to establish settlements. But although the enslaved people or the newly found Maroons would have escaped, they always visit back the plantation. So they go to the plantation for different reasons. All right, Brown. So they went to the plantation for different reasons. One, they're going to still rely on the plantation. So you establish settlement here. You're going to come back into the towns and you're going to attack the plantations. Why are you going to attack the plantations? You're in the mountains. You're in the mountains and you're going to want food. You want food, you want weapons, you want goat, you want cow, you want pigs. Food, weapons. So they constantly raid the plantations at night. So the Maroons are going to raid the plantations at night. And also, most of the Maroons were men. And if they were men, they are going to want female companionship. And so most of them are going to raid the plantation to get other enslaved women to join them into the mountain. Sometime when they go on the plantation, they are going to set the plantation fields on fire. So other enslaved people can run away. So somebody said to you, but I can't find Johnny. Where is Johnny? And then somebody going to tell a lie and said, you know, Johnny died in the fire. But that time Johnny run away way up into the mountains with the other Maroons. And so, and also you have a white person who used to treat you bad on the plantation. They go and attack the plantation and Hutus. You see that white person, you give him some licks. And sometimes kill the white person. Those planters, because you're taking revenge. And so the Maroons constantly attacked the plantation. Now, what were some of the factors that contributed to the development of Maroon communities? One, the first factor that led to the development of Maroon settlement was geography or physical conditions. It was heavily forested, and if you go up in the Maroon, into the cockpit country, I'm telling you, ladies, if you don't like heights, you're gonna be so scared up there because it is way up into the mountains, and the roads are very narrow roads and very forested, but it's beautiful up there. And you have a sense of isolation. You think it seems as if you're in a different place. Some of the lands up there are very fertile. And so because of where, if you are running away, I'm coming back to a map of Jamaica because I wanted to understand how it looked. Remember that most of the towns were on the coast. And the Maroons are running away from the plantation, and enslaved people were running away from the plantation, and they are going up into the Blue Mountains here, and they are going up into the cockpit country here, where they are establishing settlement. And so it's far away from the plantation or where the whites settled. And so because it is so far away and it is so mountainous and dangerous, it led to the development of Maroon settlement or communities. Another reason was European development plans. So the Europeans, as I mentioned earlier, the Europeans, instead of settling in the hinterland of the country, most of them settled on the coast. And so because they settle on the coast, so they settle, and Spanish Town is really not the coast, but it is very close to the coast, because you had the governor in Spanish Town had a tunnel that you can walk underground from Spanish Town to El Shah, which is right here. All of you know that, right?
They can walk from Spanish Town to Hellshire. That's what you said?
Yes, underground.
Underground?
Yes.
Sir, through what?
A tunnel.
Okay.
The British built a tunnel in from Spanish Town to Elsha, where you're able to walk from underground from Spanish Town to Elsha.
So people still use the tunnel now?
I was told that the soldiers still use it during training.
So it's not open to civilians?
Then you don't really want to go underground to walk?
No, sir, but I'm just wondering if there are some people who want to go underground.
Well, it seems I was told that soldiers still use it. I don't know how true it is, but there is a tunnel which is there. Yes. So if we look at it, ladies, the British or Europeans overall settled mostly on the coastal area. And so if they left most of the center of the island unsettled, then guess what? People can easily run away. Easily. And so that led to the development of Maroon settlement. Another reason why Maroon settlements continue to develop was because of their ability to defend themselves. Most of them were African born, and they were skilled in guerrilla tactics. They also had their musical instrument, which is the abeng. They set up lookout points. They had military training, and so they were able to defend themselves. And they used to ambush. Once they see the whites coming, they have the lookout point and they can see the whites and the whites can't see them. And so they had their lookout points and they used to camouflage themselves into the trees. And so when the white passed and they allowed them to go a little bit distant, they just attacked them. And so the whites were not able to stop the Maroon settlements from developing because of their military strength. They were able to defend themselves. And they had very strong leaders like Kuju, Taki, Kwako, Nani, very strong leaders they were willing to fight back. Willing to fight back. And also, another reason why it continued was that they had the enslaved people, they also constantly ran away and they brought with them food. And not only food, but they are going to bring knowledge. They're going to tell you that, you know, I overheard the planter talking about they want to come up into the mountains, or they're sending to England for troops to come up in the mountain. So with the enslaved people constantly running away and bringing back news, they are always prepared for war. They are always prepared for the European. And not only that, they were self-sufficient, meaning that they have the provision ground that they plant up into the mountain, the yam, the banana, the breadfruit. They eat a lot of wild birds, pigs, yes. And so they form as self-sufficient. And also, some of them, not all the time, they would settle close to the river. Why do you think that they wouldn't want to settle close to a river?
To grow crops, sir.
You settle close to the river because they to grow crop, but what else?
Sir, to use it for domestic purposes like washing.
Yes, for domestic purposes. No, I want to show you another picture of Jamaica. And it's a reason, and I make the point that they did not settle close to rivers. Did not. Now, this is a river right here. And I'm going to trace this river. Look at these rivers. Where it is. Let us trace this one right here from up Seaford Town. Where the river usually ends.
Sorry, into the sea.
The river ends to the sea, and what is usually located here? What we call between the sea and the land is called what? Here is called what? It starts with sea.
Sir, coast.
The coast. So if the whites settled close to the coast, then if they settled on the river, the whites could easily track the path of the river and find their settlement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so that's one of the reasons why they did not settle close to the rivers. Because if you settle close to the river, then they can easily track your path or track your settlement. You don't want them to know where you're settled. So if you look up into the mountains, they have rivers into the mountains, but most of the mountains really did not have any major rivers, right? At the part where they would have settled, there's no major river that is there, just some little minor rivers. Now, ladies, where am I? So we know the factors that led to the development of Maroon settlement. Now, what are some of the challenges that Maroon settlements had? One, although they were up into the mountains, they were constantly attacked by Europeans. So one, we know the famous story about Nanny. What happened to Nanny? What happened to Nanny?
So you mean the one where she gets shot in her bum?
Yes, yes. So they constantly attack. So they're going to destroy the provision grounds, the villages. Nanny Town was one of the places that they burnt down. They're going to get troops from abroad, from Europe to come. They're going to get dogs from Cuba, the Mosquito Indians. So they are constantly attacking them. And so that was a challenge or a difficulty faced by the Maroons. So every minute you have to move from one part of the mountain to another part of the mountain to another part of the mountain because you're constantly under attack. Another problem that we are going to face in Maroon settlement is disunity. Because they had less females in the settlement, the males are always going to fight over the women. And they're also going to fight over who should be the leader. Disunity. And then also, Maroons were very dependent on the plantation for food and weapons, and also women. And you are going to face some very serious problems, environmental conditions, like reptiles such as snakes in the mountain, the terrain very hilly, mountainous, a lot of cave. They're going to face water problem because you're not settled close to the rivers, so they're going to have water problem. And so these are some of the challenges that the Maroons or difficulties that they would have faced. Survival, how did they survive? One, guerrilla tactics. That's their fighting method. They are going to establish a signal system. They are banging and drumming and making sound with their mouth. They are going to establish lookout points. They are going to study the mountains and know where to hide and have plans in place to say, if they are coming here, this is where we should go. This is where we should take the children. They are going to plant food and they are going to fishing and they are going to go to the plantation and steal from the plantation. When they're sick, they're going to come up with their bush medicines. And another way in which they are going to survive is that they are going to sign treaties with the Europeans. So these are the different ways in which they survive. All right. So today what we would have looked at today, we look at the development of Maroons in Jamaica. We look at what would have led them to migrate to the mountains. We look at the Maroons and the plantation, what led to the development of Maroon communities, and also some of their challenges that they face and how they would have survived. So when we meet tomorrow, so ladies, when we meet tomorrow, we're going to look at the different Maroon wars in Jamaica. So there are two Maroon wars in Jamaica. The first Maroon War and another one that we call the second Maroon War. So we're going to look at the first Maroon War and the second Maroon War for tomorrow's class. All right. Now in Jamaica, Maroons are divided into two groups: the Windward Maroons, which is on the East Coast, and the Leeward Maroons, which is on the West Coast. So these are the two Maroons groups in Jamaica: Windward Maroons and Leeward Maroons. So when we meet tomorrow, what we're going to do is that we're going to look at the first and the second Maroon War. And then on Wednesday, we're going to look at the Bush Negroes in Suriname. So that's what we're going to do. And then by Wednesday, we should finish with Maroons. All right, ladies, go ahead for me.
Sir, just a quick question relating to the exam. Sir, the things that are coming on the exam, we're not getting the Haitian Revolution and anything after that?
Yes, nothing. You're not getting Haiti, you're not getting Maroons, nothing after that. You're not getting Haiti, no Maroons. So it's only up to slave control.
Okay, sir.
Only up to slave control. No Maroons, no Haiti. But for the exam in December, you're going to get on Haiti and the Maroons for sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, ladies, I'm begging you, please remember to tell your form teacher that next week, Monday, we have another session next week, Monday. So I'm begging you, please, because we need to use maybe the two sessions on Monday to complete some of the topics. It makes no sense, ladies, for us to put all of this work into September coming, because September is already a heavy month. So see you tomorrow morning when we will continue Maroon.
Bye-bye. Bye, sir.
And also, ladies, just like how we finish Maroons right now, just listen. I'm going to put up the recording. The PowerPoint is already there. Just making notes, same time. Just do your notes and read and all of these different stuff. Don't leave everything until the last minute. Please.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye-bye, ladies.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.